Heyo, what's up, everybody? It has been a while, a little over a week since I've last posted a video talking anything to do with NFL, but hey, like the Eagles, I needed a week off too, especially after that game with the Cowboys. Whew. And not to mention working in retail, well, now that the holidays are here, you can imagine it's pretty hectic, even for an 8-hour shift. Man, I'll tell you what, not to mention when they offer you overtime, I mean, hey, you gotta take it, am I right? So I've been just like dead freaking tired almost every freaking day. And even on my days off, I'm just, you know what? I just don't got the energy. But, we're past week 10, the midway point of the NFL season, so now it's crunch time for everybody. Like, who are the real playoff teams and, well, who's just pretty much in idle drive for now. But man, I tell you what, this had to be like the best week of NFL football for viewing anyway throughout the entire 2023 season, that is. I mean, there were only like, what, 3 lopsided games? So there were like 14 games, so there were only 3 lopsiders. So I'd say 11 games that came down to the finish. That was pretty damn good. And a pretty good week for me, too, because I went 13-1 in the NFL Pigskin Pick'em. And in another league where they're doing picks, which is a cash pool, I came out with $230. So I'm feeling pretty happy right now about that. And I already put the money to use. Bought a new artificial tree for the family for this Christmas. So that was pretty nice. But man, I tell you what, let's recap that crazy week, man. First of all, let's just get the blowout games out of the way. Ones that really got nothing to write home about, like especially the Cowboys-Giants. Come on, we all knew that game was going to be a blowout. I think it's surprising that the Giants got 17 points in the least. CeeDee Lamb, now he's definitely making noise as the top receiver in the NFL, as he just became the first player to have like 10 catches for the third straight game and over 150 some odd yards. So now I'd say now I would say you throw his name in the mix for league MVP. And that's something to look into. Like, are there any quarterbacks right now that kind of are like, I mean, come on, despite the names, Mahomes and Jalen Hurts and definitely not Josh Allen with the way he's been looking late. Joe Burrow, it's starting to get back to being Joe Burrow, but yeah, I gotta be totally honest. And aside from Lamar Jackson, I really think this should be a year where I don't think a quarterback is going to win league MVP. I mean, right now you got the receivers making a lot of noise, like there's CeeDee Lamb, there's my guy A.J. Brown. Justin Jefferson had gone down, he definitely would have his name in the mix. But, trying to think if anybody else could be. I don't know if we have any running backs that would fit the bill. I mean, probably Christian McCaffrey of the 49ers. And if there is any quarterback that definitely would have his name in the running for league MVP, you got to be talking C.J. Stroud. I mean, at some point, you got to give this kid his dues. But, I'm all over the place right now, so let's try to narrow it and focus. So, yeah, we just got through the Giants and Cowboys. There, again, really nothing to talk about. The Giants are a train wreck. So, yeah, if Dallas being the better team took care of business, okay? CeeDee Lamb made a milestone mark, and so there you go. The Giants-Cowboys series is over for 2023. I'm sure Giants fans are more happy than anything. They'll lick their wounds and just, regroup for next year's meeting with the Cowboys. The other 2 lopsided games, the Buccaneers end a 4-game skid defeating the Titans 20-6. Good job, Tampa. Tennessee, you suck. Is there really anything worth discussing about that matchup? I don't think so. The 49ers, wow. Talk about a statement win. Beat the ever-living crap out of Jacksonville. 34-3. Was that the final score? Yep, 34-3. So that was a huge statement win for San Francisco coming out of their bye after a 3-game skid, and everyone's starting to question, was this team really a contender or just a pretender? Well, hey, they got 2 of their key people back. Debo and Trent Williams were back in the lineup, and you saw the difference. So, yeah, having key pieces kind of does make a difference. I know everyone says it should be the next man up mentality, but hey, when you got your full team playing at 100% again, yeah, you see the difference right there. Although it is kind of shocking that they did blow out Jacksonville. I mean, it's not like the Jaguars are a pretender. They're the defending South champions. They're a legit playoff team. So the fact that they got their ass handed to them, it's kind of unsettling for Jacksonville. But hey, as I said, a huge boost in morality. Is that really the word I want to use? For a football team and a big win? Probably not. But anyway, big boost in momentum for the San Francisco 49ers going forward. As, of course, they got the Seahawks to worry about. Literally about the only team to worry about in their division. And, of course, trying to keep pace with the Eagles and the Lions. So, all right, so that takes care of the blowout games. Now let's talk about all the good games. Okay, maybe not all of them were good, because, Panthers-Bears. What did that prove? That Carolina is the worst team in the league right now. And that the Chicago Bears really need to retire those ugly-ass all orange uniforms. I'm sorry, but the orange helmet and the orange jersey just not doing it for me. Look, Chicago, just stop it. If you are going to wear the orange jerseys, which thank God is only, for a few occasions, keep the blue helmets, okay? And I'm sorry, I just don't care for it. Not a lot of people do. And it's like, you'd have thought after last year's reaction, they'd have thought not to bring it back. But, hey, I guess you just keep trying, You don't succeed, try again. But hopefully they get the hint this time, all right? Retire the all-orange look. You're not the Buccaneers. Of course, then again, yeah. That's not even a creamsicle type shade of orange. It's like, are you the Chicago Bears or are you the Chicago Pumpkins? Holy crap. Kind of wish you were. Maybe the fairy godmother come down and turn you into a better football team for a season. Ha-ha. Let's see. The other close game that's probably not too much talking about. Oh, yeah. Raiders and Jets. Sunday Night Football. I guess the only thing to take away from that is that the Raiders should have fired Josh McDaniels a lot fucking sooner. They've gone 2-0 in his absence. Granted, it was against, the New York clubs. But, the Jets were still a tougher competition because of their defense. And even though the defense kind of outshined the Raiders a little bit, well, we just keep seeing that Zach Wilson's just not the answer for the New York Jets QB, although we already knew that, but, he definitely made his case in this game. So congrats to the Raiders. You're starting to play a lot better. You're definitely looking a lot better, but let's see how you do against a much better ball club down the road. Okay, now let's talk about all the good... Oh, wait. No, there's one more. Damn it, there's one more. The international game that was over in Frankfurt, Germany. And yeah, I think we should all apologize to the German folk for that display of American football. Although, who knows? Maybe they kind of liked it. Maybe they got so goddamn drunk they didn't give a shit. Yeah, Colts edged the Patriots 10-6. And I think all we can say is, boy, do we already miss Brady and Manning. Wow. To think 2 decades ago, that would have been a must-watch game. Not anymore, because all it does is just remind us of those good old days and the fossil that Bill Belichick is becoming. And Robert Kraft better make up his mind that he is going to have to do some serious house cleaning this offseason, because Mac Jones and Zappy are just not going to get it done. I mean, yeah, it's easy to cast the QBs as the scapegoats and the head coach, but you got to start somewhere. And that whole team just needs a whole makeover as far as I'm concerned. The Colts should be okay when Anthony Richardson comes back and they can just build around him. So for now, the Colts are just trying to limp to the finish line at this point. Okay, let me check my notes. Make sure there were no other close games that featured mediocre teams that we got to discuss. Packers, Steelers. I mean, the Packers are mediocre this season, but the Steelers are interesting. I mean, they're not entirely bad. It's obvious they definitely need some help on offense, but their defense is definitely legit. So they could definitely ride their defense into the playoffs. Don't know how far they'll go, but definitely, Pittsburgh's a team you don't sleep on, I still have high hope for Kenny Pickett. Just needs to polish up a little better in the passing and decision-making department. Maybe get him a better offensive line. Pittsburgh, you know what those are? A good offensive line. I mean, look how wonders it does for the Eagles and what it did for Tom Brady throughout his career. The quarterback is only as good as the 5 guys that are protecting him, But as for the Packers, at this point, Green Bay fans are just now counting down the remaining weeks they have to watch the Packers just at least try to be, competitive, try to make the games interesting in the least. I don't think we should write off Jordan Love just yet. This is his first year starting, and to be fair, Aaron Rodgers didn't make the playoffs in his first year starting either. So how about we just kind of give Love another year, give him some time to grow. Let this be the learning season. Let this be the learning season, taking his lumps and move on to next year. All right. Is there anybody else I'm forgetting? Mediocre squads. Let me see. Falcons, Cardinals. Kyler Murray returns and leads the Desert Birds to their first win in, forever, since they shocked Dallas. And, it really shouldn't be that surprising because it's the Falcons. All right? The Falcons are a team you at least play decent against. And as long as you do, you should beat them handedly. Now, granted, yes, the Cardinals have, their own set of problems. But I figured, you know what? I go with Arizona on this one because every time I pick the effing Falcons, they lose. Just no logistics, no statistics, just no numbers to justify it. Anytime I pick Atlanta, they just lose. Whether they're good or bad, I don't get it. So I had to pick Arizona by default, and they didn't let me down. Again, hey, don't get me wrong, they're 2 mediocre squads, but they definitely made a good, interesting game out of it. All right, anybody else? Okay, so this is kind of hard to say. Are they really mediocre? Would you say the Vikings are mediocre? Everybody was ready to write them off, myself included, when Kirk Cousins went down. Then they trade for Josh Dobbs, and now all of a sudden, the Vikings have a new interesting storyline. And the Saints, Derek Carr gets knocked out with an injury, so of course, did you really think Jameis Winston was going to save the day? It's still Winston. He's a double-edged sword. 30 for 30, and not in the good way. For the amount of touchdowns he throws, he'll throw the same amount of interceptions. Jesus Christ. At least he's consistent with that. He'll make the NFL record books in the wrong reason just for the fact that he's got to be the first player in NFL history that can match his touchdown and interception numbers in the same fucking game how many times throughout his career. It's hilarious. I mean, to me, it's hilarious, but not for every team he's played for. But yeah, Josh Dobbs, I'll tell you what, I guess he just needed to get out of the desert and into the cooler temperatures of Minneapolis where he can think straight. And wow, like so far, he's keeping the Vikings right in it. So even though the Lions are doing what they need to do, definitely do not sleep on Minnesota because they are right on your heels. And right now, one of my favorite teams to try and get into the playoffs. And looking at what we have left in the NFC, I don't think it's going to be hard for the Vikings to get back to the playoffs this year. Just so long as, Dobbs and them keep playing confident within each other. Let's see. I think, therefore I am. Yeah, let's get this other one out of the way. Commanders Seahawks. Wow. The Seattle Seahawks, one of the many teams, I think there were 5 teams that won with walk-off field goals, and this was one of them. And really nothing bad on the part of Washington. It was just a hell of a good game. I mean, both Hal and Geno Smith, I'll bet if you had one of them for your quarterbacks in your fantasy team, you had a buku day. Both quarterbacks had a rating over 100. Both threw for over 300 plus yards passing and no interceptions by either quarterback. So just, overall great day to be a quarterback if you're Sam Howell and Geno Smith. But the Seahawks managed to pull it out, so I'm happy for that. Washington, I don't think they'll make the playoffs, but they're at least a team you don't sleep on, if that's any solace for the Washington fan base. Let's see. Who do we want to get into next? All right, so we have like the Texans Bengals, we have the Browns Ravens, we got the Lions and the Chargers, and then we have the Broncos and the Bills. Let's get that one out of the way first. The Broncos and the Bills Monday night game. So, on the NFL Pigskin Pick'em, Denver only got 5% votes to beat the Buffalo Bills. And I was one of those crazy bastards to pick the Broncos. And you want to know why? Because, fuck numbers altogether. This is a year where you don't trust the numbers. I have explicitly stated that every damn video. Well, almost every damn video. I had a gut feeling about this one because the Broncos were playing hot and the Bills are up and down and ice cold. And they showed it. 4 ugly turnovers. Josh Allen, I don't know what the fuck's wrong with him. Seems like we saw his best game when he lost to Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs in that divisional round shootout a few seasons ago. Ever since then, we've not seen the same guy. It has just been constantly roller coaster mode. And the Broncos, I thought to myself, if they could beat the fucking Chiefs, granted Mahomes was sick, they could most certainly go into Buffalo and stun this team who is so goddamn inconsistent. Because I don't know what's going on in Denver right now, but I think Sean Payton and company are starting to click. I think they are starting to click. At the right time, too. They just beat a playoff contending type team. Even though that said team, the Bills, definitely has some fucking issues to work out. But that's a great win for Denver. Granted, yes, they got some breaks with the calls and everything. Or that's just Buffalo starting to be the East Coast Chargers. They find a way to Buffalo it. But I'm happy for the Broncos and their fans as well as Brandon Perna because I'm sure he lost his goddamn mind over that. And I tell you what right now, Russell Wilson and company, I kind of hope they sneak into the playoffs. At best, they'd have to be the 7th seed. But I really hope the Denver Broncos make the playoffs because they have been an interesting storyline throughout the entire season. Whether it's been on the wrong end of that, but now they're starting to get on the more interesting end of that. But they have definitely been a team worth watching all damn season as far as I'm concerned. Rather, again, for it being the wrong reasons or, for these most bizarre reasons. Because every game the Broncos have been in, you have to admit, is bizarre. So I think it'd be great for the NFL as well as television viewers to see this team make the playoffs and see if they cannot at least find some way to bullshit an upset in the wild card round to just really make it, just to really make it one hell of a year of chaos. I'm standing by that. I want the Denver Broncos to make the fucking playoffs and knock somebody off in the wild card round because that would just be great for everybody, I think. Not the team they knock off, obviously, but still. Let's see. Anything else? Do I have a note in that? Nope. Just basically what I said. Okay, so now we're down to Texans, Bengals, Browns, Ravens, Lions, Chargers. So one of these three, I would say, was ultimately not just the game of this week, but probably the game of the year. All right, this is how I'm going to do it. The bronze medal goes to, I'm going to say Browns, Ravens. I say Browns, Ravens because, Baltimore, you blew it. How the hell did you jump out to such a hot lead and then you just got cold? Granted, you still had chances to win, but you blew it. Credit the job Deshaun Watson and company did in the second half to get back in it. I mean, this game kind of had a little bit of everything for everybody. If you love offensive football, this was obviously the game for you. And even if you love defensive football, this was still the game for you because both teams had 2 pick sixes. The first one by the Ravens to start the game and the one by the Browns that would have tied it up if not for the missed extra point, but definitely put the momentum on their side for good. Wow. And I tell you what, this was a matchup between 2 AFC North teams. And they both combined for 60-plus points? That's not supposed to happen. It's the AFC North. This is supposed to be defensive slugfests between these 4 clubs. You're not supposed to see this many amount of points, especially by both teams. Just wow, man. But you know what? I'm not surprised the Browns pulled it out because they beat the Ravens earlier this year, so why not again? Should not be a surprise to anybody Cleveland swept this game because they're division rivals and that's how it is. You got to throw everything that makes sense out the window, especially when it involves the AFC North. But now, I just saw a headline that says Deshaun Watson is out for the season. So I got to read about that and get more into that and now what that does for Cleveland's here. Although, hey, they were kind of doing okay without him. So as long as they got that defense, maybe they'll be okay. Because right now, yeah, I'd say the Cleveland Browns are one of my favorites to try and get into the playoffs. But more on that later. I know I keep saying that. I want to try and do another video down the road. But it just gets harder and harder when it's later in the week and my schedule gets more hectic at work. But I definitely want to try and come back with a mid-season type report to see, where everybody stands and what we can expect down the road, at least in my opinion about that sort of thing. All right, the silver medal goes to the Texans-Bengals game. This is another one. It's not surprising that it turned out the way it did. It could have gone either way. As I was saying earlier about C.J. Stroud, he should definitely be in the running, not just for Rookie of the Year, but for League MVP, because this kid is just playing out of his goddamn mind. And, let's just keep our fingers crossed that nothing happens to him, because every time we get a young QB like this that starts out electrifying, just somewhere along the way, something happens to pull the damn plug, and he's never quite the same as he was. So let's keep our fingers crossed that C.J. Stroud can stay good and healthy and that the Texans do all the right things to keep him healthy so that this kid can continue to wow us for days in and days out down the road. But here's the one set of numbers that really irritate me when it comes to the Texans and the Bengals game. Referring back to the ESPN NFL Pigskin Pick'em. Now, I'm not too surprised that Cincinnati was favored to win the game. I myself went with them, although like I said, this was a coin flip game. Could have gone either way. No, this is what irks me. The Texans were only 8% favorites. Are you fucking serious, people? You really had that much faith in Cincinnati? I mean, don't get me wrong. Like I said, it could have gone either way. Yes, I'm not surprised they were favorites, but I'm surprised they were that big amount. I'm surprised they were that huge of a favorite. Like, come on, folks. 8%? The Texans are better than that, and they just showed you. Like, do we not have any faith in the job they're doing? They're right now a legitimate playoff contender, and I strongly think they will take the South from the Jaguars this year. Because why not? Only 8%? What has Cincinnati done to make you all that confident in them? What, they were riding they had a 4-game win streak going on? Well, we thought that Burrow and company were getting it together? Come on. It's 2023. This whole season's been chaos. You should know better than to trust the numbers. You should know better than to trust a team that has struggled at one point, but now does seem to look like they're doing good. You should have known this was a game the Bengals are susceptible to lose. I'm sorry, maybe I got a little too personal on that one, but like I said, it just shocked me that the Texans only had 8% votes. I'm like, come on, folks, give them a little more credit than that. You know, I understand they're the only team that lost to Carolina several weeks ago, but it's the NFL. It's any given Sunday. You know, it's 2023. This is the season of chaos. And speaking of chaotic, the game of the week, the gold medal, goes to the Lions and the Chargers. Man, I mean, for a defensive type person, this game was not for you. But you know what? Who cares? Because this game was, well, I don't want to use the word electric because of the Chargers, but this game was phenomenal. Both clubs played nearly fucking flawless. And when I say nearly flawless, I mean it. This was almost a clean game. There were literally no sacks by either team. There was only one turnover, an interception on against the Chargers, but no fumbles lost. And there was hardly any ref time, as there were 7 combined penalties. And the Lions went on to defeat LA 41-38. Just absolutely freaking crazy of a game. And you know what? Hey, Dan Campbell definitely has to be in running for head coach of the year. Him and DeMeco Ryans for Houston. Because I tell you what, ever since he came to Detroit, he has been absolutely everything the Lions have needed. Just to bring in the charisma, the gusto, the fire, you know, and the absolute kind of coach that these players love to play for, because he shows the confidence, the trust, and the love he has for them game in and game out. And here the Lions now sit at 7-2. And quite arguably might be the team that will represent the NFC in Vegas this season. I know I've been hard on the Lions earlier this year because I thought they were getting a little too ahead of themselves, but they've had their humbling experience, and they won a crazy shootout game against, the Chargers are a good team, just not a team that can find ways to win games and shit like that. But the Lions pulled it out, and especially when they went for it there to try and, overall seal the game and the fate of the Chargers. That took a lot of guts, and that's what the Lions have that I think we all love, is that they're a gutsy team. They're not afraid. and you definitely got to be bringing your A game against them every damn time. So congrats to the Lions and the Chargers. You guys are undoubtedly the fucking game of the week. That's a game you got to love to watch the highlights over and over and over. And I apologize because I'm sure y'all can tell, like, my voice just sounds faded right now. It might be my damn allergies. Who the hell knows? But it was great to get back on and do another one of these videos. I'd say that was probably the most fun week we've had in this NFL season by far. I mean, oh my Lord. Almost every game was clutch down to the wire. Just all the crazy win scenarios. Whew. But I think I'm going to take a little break right here, give my voice a little break, come back and prep for, well, Eagles are going to be back in play. Monday Night Football at Arrowhead, the Super Bowl rematch. That definitely garners its own video, as well as, how the rest of the season should play out and who I'd like to see make the playoffs. So, if I don't lose my freaking voice, maybe I'll try and get around and do that. But for now, whoever watches this, I appreciate it. If you liked it, give me a good old thumbs up, subscribe, give me a few pointers, tell me what I can do to get better. Alrighty. Well, everybody have a good rest of the week and enjoy the next week of NFL football. Hopefully it's just as entertaining and chaotic as the whole season's been. All right. Well, wait a minute. No, wait a minute. Hold on. As the whole season's been? And I just said this was the best season. Come on, man. Who does your writing? I do my writing. All right. Later, y'all.